Welcome to the Global Corporate Venturing Digital Forum. My name is James Mawson, founder and editor-in-chief of our Global Corporate Venturing publication, as well as its sister titles, Global University Venturing and Global Impact Venturing. It's a great pleasure to welcome and introduce the second digital forum that we do. Obviously, most of our events over the past 10 years have been live in real-life events for people around the world, but we're delighted to bring the virtual corporate venturing community, as well as its associated partners, together today. Before I introduce Gen Tsuchikawa-san from Sony, Chief Executive of Sony Innovation Fund, I will just give a couple of thank you and a couple of housekeeping points in order to make sure that we are fully on stream in terms of being able to get ready and started. So first of all, obviously, thank you in part to some of the team members who were able to join to, give a quick wave of thank you. Obviously, I won't name them all, but from Global Corporate Venturing's point of view, we've got a number of partners who enable and make this happen. And so thank you very much to them, but we're also supported by a number of organizations, including Petra's Twisted Tree in terms of speaker liaison, and Ralph Cochran's event.video in order to make sure the broadcast is happening. There's also a host of other partners and supporters that enable this to happen. But my main thanks also goes to all the attendees. Here's some of those that attended the first digital forum back in June, and it's very similar for this time. And also the platinum sponsors, BP, Chevron, Mac49 and Procedure. The gold sponsors, Clarity, Dentons, Fenwick & West, Set Squared, Silicon Valley Bank, Tencent, TDK Ventures and Touchdown Ventures, and the supporting partners, which include a number of the trade associations around the world, including Singapore, Japan, and Hong Kong. I won't say too much about our plans at Global Corporate Venturing. Obviously, as a trade paper, we concentrate on asking two pretty basic questions. One, who does corporate venturing, both the people and the organizations? And second, what do they do? What deals are they investing in directly or indirectly as a limited partner in the venture capital funds? And one of the theses that we've had, thanks to the chairman of our GCV Leadership Society, which is for the next 2 years, Young Sun, who's the president at Samsung. But that advisory board that we have for the Leadership Society is in effect given us a couple of mandates. One, to think about the professional development. Second, to think around some of the diversity and inclusion of the people within the ecosystem. Third, to understand its geopolitical significance of corporate venturing, how it works with VCs, entrepreneurs, understands government and regulators. But just on that first piece, the GCV Academy that's been run for the past few years by Paul Morris is continuing, but we've been developing an online curriculum, which is called the GCV Institute. And I wanted to note in particular the pilot partners for that institute, which you can see here, and in which enable us to work through some of the online agenda so that we could create a truly professional certificated industry. A quick reference, a quick mention. Obviously, as a publication, we try and track the industry's trends in terms of deals, data, interests, areas of opportunity. And that annual survey is now out. You'll be able to see it in Brella through the app to be able to sign up, and just doesn't take more than a few minutes. So if you get a pause during the day's digital forum at one of the breaks, do take a moment to help fill in the survey, enable us to understand the trends, not just from this year, but also what will come out next year as well. And so now I have the great pleasure of introducing Gen Tsuchikawa-san from Sony. Gen has obviously been a core member of the GCV ecosystem and through the Leadership Society for a number of years. Sony has obviously been highly active in terms of corporate venturing for more than a decade through Gen's colleague over in California, Austin. But I will not read out his full bio, apart from to say is that he heads up all the venture investing activities for Sony globally through its Sony Innovation Fund, as well as a joint venture with third-party limited partners to help provide extra capital as a later stage funds. He will also spend a little bit of time talking about some of the more recent activities that Sony has given. So in which case I will hand over to Gen and to run through some of his slides. Gen, thank you for joining.
James, thank you for the introduction. Nice to meet everyone. It's an honor to be co-chairing this conference. I am Gen, and I run Sony's CVC activities globally. To kick off this event, I would like to share with you a few common themes. Common themes which most likely will be addressed throughout the whole conference, and how we at Sony are approaching it. The new work environment, as you can see in the chart that's being shown. At Sony, we made sure to do a couple of things. Keeping communication among the global teams very tight, spend lots of time with our portfolio companies, actively exchange views with our friends in the investment community, and continue to meet new startups. As we all know, the team and the people are the most important assets we have, and I'm fortunate the health of the teams have been maintained. Next slide, please. Impact Fund. We announced our entry into this area with the introduction of Sony Innovation Fund Environment just 2 weeks ago. The fund is a $10 million fund, a small fund to start with. We have an internal project which turned African deserts into rich farmland in a very eco-friendly way, and that will be our starting project. But obviously, we will also start to meet many early-stage startups in this area. Next slide, please. Diversity. Diversity is at the forefront of our priorities. We are fortunate to be able to support such capable female CEOs, including Daniela Braga of Defined Crowd, an AI company. Japan is said to be behind in this movement, but we are proud to back many female CEOs in Japanese startups. Next slide, please. Being active. I was fortunate to receive many positive comments related to the presentation I made at the previous GCV digital conference. This is the last page of the presentation I made then. I continue to believe that this is a time when the corporate senior management will look to the CVC groups to guide them, to tell them where the world is going. We are happy to report that we have made 10 investments after April and continue to be very active. Next slide, please. So the last slide is looking forward to next year. So let me close by hoping to invite all of you to Sony headquarters next year in the fall for a physical conference which we initially planned for this year. Back to you, James.
Wonderful, and thank you very much, Gensan, for that update in some ways, but also the leadership. It's been fascinating to see the impact, or the Environment Fund in particular, being launched. As in quick summary of the event that will now follow, we will have a next keynote and fireside chat between Jeffrey Lee from Tencent and Martin Hamig. And then we will go into a number of round tables, of which again will be one looking at Japan and Taiwan. We have some breaks throughout the day, and in effect, the way to think about this digital forum is almost 4 events wrapped into one. We start with the morning in UK terms on the Asia Congress, which would have been held, as again mentioned, at Sony's headquarters this year. We'll then move into 2 parallel streams. So if you look at the event app through Brella, what you will find is that there will be a number of different streams. One will be more around the impact and sustainability, chaired by Tom Whitehouse, and the other will be more around the US ecosystem, which would have been our GCV Synergize conference run out in New York, and that's been led by Christine Riboldi, our colleague in the US team. And before that, we've got a number of sort of sessions more focused around Europe, and again, some of the impact, including a sort of keynote from Sir Ronald Cohen, which is now live, and so he'll be doing a live Q&A. So do make sure that you look at the different streams of the Brella app, find the topics you want to do. Obviously, they're being recorded, so we can then do the postscript with them, so you can look at the sessions you might have missed and otherwise. Think of some questions. Do set up some meetings with the other attendees. We're delighted to have almost 500 attendees of this digital forum across the 12 or so hours of the event. But obviously before and afterwards, we've had some workshops with Mac 49. We've run some pitch competitions on sustainability and fintech, thanks to the GCV Connect powered by Proseeder platform. So Ken Gatz will be talking a little bit about that and showing it, including some startups from Set Squared. And then obviously do make sure you fill in the annual survey. So I will now make sure we finish broadly on time. Give the final word again to say thank you very much for your hosting and chairmanship of the Asia stream, and also for your leadership within the GCV community. Thank you again.
Thank you, James.
Welcome, everybody, to the session with Jeffrey Lee. I'm happy to have Jeffrey Lee as Corporate Vice President of Tencent, Managing Partner of Tencent Investments, and General Manager of Merger and Acquisitions for a number of years now. And on top of it, for those who haven't noticed, but I'm sure most of you did, is he is the winner of the Power List 100 2020. So Jeffrey, I do remember a few years ago when I was talking about Tencent in Europe, nobody had a clue about Tencent. And I think the key breakthrough was your multi-billion-dollar majority deal with Supercell from Scandinavia. And that, I think, was a major breakthrough. In the meantime, I see you do a lot more deals also in Europe. Now, Tencent is the Chinese internet giant, and I just looked at their market cap, is one of the top 10 most valuable companies as of now, right now, this month. On top of it is a quick backdrop, and then we'll kick off. Tencent was established in 1998 in Shenzhen. Naspers invested in 2001 $32 million into Tencent, but keeps most shares ever since. It's a few sales only, even after its Hong Kong IPO in 2004. And when I looked at early September, the Naspers still keeps a 31% stake, which is worth about $220 billion. which in my view is one of the greatest deal of all times, as it was mentioned in the Financial Times. So much for Tencent, Jeffrey. And if I can start off, given the backdrop I just gave, that Naspers invested and kept the shares even after going public, and unlike most other investors are selling it, the question number one that I have is Tencent applying the same, I call it keep share concept in some of its startups investment after their IPO listings? And if you do so, why do you do that?
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Martin and James and all the community by giving me this chance being here. And also, thank you so much for nominating me for the Power List. Well, I think everyone is so busy at fighting with coronavirus. That's why I got this honor again. And you have talked a lot about the successful path of Tencent, and also the very long-lasting relationship between Tencent and Naspers. And I think that's actually one of the heritage we took away from our relationship, is that when you make a good investment, you need to make sure that's long enough investment, and you have to keep betting on that. So yes, my very direct answer to your question is we kept most of the share of our top portfolios, even after their IPO. And to be honest, actually, we already have over 70 listed companies, and most of them are actually we invested into the private stage, and we kept our shares after the IPO. And I think the reason is that when you look at the new stuff, actually the top asset are always rare asset, and we want to keep that. And at the same time, we really want to support the entrepreneurs in the long lasting journey for their own companies. So I think that's very important for our success, and I think we'll also pass that to our portfolio companies as well.
All right. So as Tencent is an incredibly profitable company, there is tons of free cash flow. And I'm kind of curious to see of how relevant is corporate VC investment and acquisition as part of the free cash flow. And yes, so how significant is this within the entire Tencent group, apart from other expansions?
Well, I think investment is not just a side business for us. That's actually our core corporate strategy, and not only in the past 10 years, but also going forward. So Tencent almost generated about more than $10 billion US every year, and that's only the net profit. And our free cash flow actually is even better than that. So we invest most of profit into other companies, and especially in a minority way. So we look at the portfolio numbers. We already have more than 800 companies around the world, most of them in China, but we also have portfolios in US, in Europe, and in Southeast Asia. So I think to continue the investment and try to expand the ecosystem to support by our traffic, by our people, and by our way of running business. Actually, that's a very core strategy going forward. So we probably will continue this path and invest into this community, not only for the startups, but also for the other bigger companies as well. I think that's very important for us, and also the recently we set up through this vehicle, and the long-lasting beneficial to both Tencent and our portfolio companies. Actually, that's tremendous.
So historically, Tencent has invested in the 4 key areas since its inception and direct investments, which is, I recall, retail, commerce, fintech, digital media and content, and enterprise solutions. And are you still sticking straight to this? And if you can let what we call a little bit, let us look into your crystal ball. So what are you planning to do next? You don't need to tell us the top secret, but just trying to understand, you stay within the 4 key areas, and going forward post-COVID now, where are you looking at as Tencent?
Well, we have been in this like 4 verticals for years, and we'll be continue this investment into this like 4 vehicles going forward. So I think our way to make investment, especially like the very valuable investment, is not to like expand our coverage, but try to like go deeper in each of our verticals as much as possible. So I can give you an example is that we have been investing in the retail and commerce business for years. So very beginning we invested like JD back in 2013, and then support its IPO in 2014. But then we invest in many other like a commerce business. In 2017, we actually happened to run into like a very small company called like a Pinduoduo, and now it's actually become like a very meaningful rival, not only for like a JD but also for Alibaba. So when you look at the depths of like a Chinese market, actually that's like a tremendous. So we still have seen many new product model and new business model in China, especially after like the coronavirus. It's very interesting that we see the deep penetration of this like chain store model into China, just start to boom. At the same time, actually, the people, especially the younger generation in the first tier, second tier city, they start to care about the quality instead of the price. So we have seen lots of like new opportunities coming out, even from this very traditional, investment verticals. We will still, continue to follow the trend with the consumers and also like the change of the business. And we definitely believe there will be like more investment opportunities going forward.
Okay, quick side question is,
Yes,
China
please.
is the number 2 place for unicorns. Either in what percentage of Chinese unicorns is Tencent in, or in what percent, or if you know the total number, if you can throw it out?
Well, I actually don't have an exact number, so but you can read lots of like VC reports. So I think like there's some other early stage VC fund probably have like a higher percentage than us. And at the same time, actually, when we look at the unicorns we have, we can invest those companies even at very late stage. So I think that's actually not fair to compare us with the early stage VCs. But yes, we do have lots of like unicorns and megacorns. Yeah.
Okay, now comes my favorite topic, of course, which is the internationalization. What is the Tencent investment strategy behind it in terms of technology access, market access, ecosystem building, partner networks, CVC co-investment, startup support? So if you can touch a bit on those key items.
Well, Martin, that's actually a hard question for me, especially now. Like 2 years ago, we were criticized about our investment performance, and now there are lots of like talking about how the Chinese and the U.S. war. And when we make investment, actually our purpose is very simple. We're trying to like make friends, and we're trying to leverage our understanding of the business to introduce the foreign companies into China, and also we are trying to leverage our platform and try to deliver our know-how into like other companies as well. For example, as a gaming platform, we actually invest lots of gaming companies in around the world. You mentioned like a Supercell, that's only one of them. We have years of gaming operation experience, development experience. We have lots of like especially online gaming experience which was like a very unique in the world. So we are looking for like partners with the same vision and ambition to tackle this like gaming world and work with us and develop the best of class gamings. And at the same time, we are also like we are not a fintech company, to be honest, but we do have lots of like users information, and we leverage that to build the payment business in China. And so we have lots of like technology know-how and also product know-how, and we're looking for like the partners around the world actually to work together with us to set up this like the payment network around the world. And I think there like no purpose for this to collect like, more information or technology, but trying to like do business with our partners, just like you know what we have done in the past with like the friends from US, friends like the European countries. I think that's the true meaning of like a globalization, right?
So we have about 1 minute left, and with that, the question is, when you look at geographic, there was a question coming in, what is Tencent doing regarding Southeast Asia, Singapore, and beyond Singapore, beyond the China hub? Any revelation on that?
Well, yes, we were actually a pretty globalized company, so we just like formalized in the like the regional hub. Besides like Singapore, we are also setting up like a regional office in Europe and also like in US. So I think that's you know just like a midpoint of like the journey to like a more foreign business expansion and also like investment. We actually have been investing in Southeast Asia for many years, and we have lots of like portfolio companies over there in each of like the region. So I think that's not like a surprise for us to you know increasing our presence in the region.
Is Europe more of a market play for you that you're planning to go into, or is it more a tech sourcing play for Tencent investments?
Not really. Actually, that's a corporate initiative, not specifically towards our investment initiatives. So most of our team are actually still based in China, and we reach out for different regions for like deal sourcing and also for executions. We probably will place like more people in the region to get like closer to the deals. You know, it's only like a way for like the faster and more efficient execution.
Okay, unfortunately, time is up. We could go forever, Jeffrey. Maybe you and I, if travel permits, will have to have a coffee again.
Sure, of course, Martin.
And so thanks again also for all the viewers. And I hand back to the organizer because the sessions and other sessions starts, including Japan, including India in a few minutes, and others in parallel. So once again, Jeffrey and the audience and the organizer, thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.